Take a moment to find a comfortable position. Shifting your weight until you feel completely supported by the surface beneath you. Allow your eyes to close gently, shutting out the visual noise of the day, and turning your attention inward to the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. There is nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be, and no problems you need to solve. This time is yours, a sanctuary of stillness where the mind can wander through the corridors of history, observing the past from a place of safety and calm. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears, releasing the tension that gathers there. Unclench your jaw and let your hands rest loosely, perhaps imagining a gentle warmth spreading through your palms, radiating upward through your arms, softening every muscle it touches. As you breathe in, imagine you are drawing in the cool, peaceful air of the night. And as you breathe out, imagine you are releasing a gray mist of worry, watching it dissolve into nothingness. Tonight, we are going to explore a particular kind of human story. It is a story not of battles fought with swords or shields, but of battles fought with ideas, with visions of the future, and with the fragile currency of trust. We are going to look back at the great partnerships of history, those famous alliances where two minds came together to build something extraordinary, only to find that their paths would eventually diverge, often in silence, and sometimes in sorrow. There is something profound about the act of partnership. It is a leap of faith, a decision to place a part of your destiny in the hands of another. Imagine, if you will, the beginning of such a journey. Picture a quiet room, perhaps lit by the warm glow of a fireplace or the sterile hum of a garage workspace. The air is thick with potential. Two people are sitting across from one another, their eyes bright with the shared electricity of an idea. At this moment, everything is possible. The world outside is vast and waiting, and they believe, truly believe, that together they hold the key to unlocking it. This is the honeymoon of collaboration. It is like the early morning hours when the fog still clings to the ground, softening the edges of reality. In this space, differences of opinion are merely interesting textures, and contrasting strengths feel like perfect puzzle pieces locking into place. One might be the dreamer, painting bold strokes of what could be on the canvas of the future. The other might be the builder, the one who understands the weight of the stone and the grain of the wood, the one who knows how to construct the foundation that will hold the dream aloft. It is a beautiful symmetry, like two trees growing side by side, their roots becoming entangled deep within the earth, sharing water, sharing nutrients, providing shelter for one another against the wind. For a time, it seems as though they are a single entity, a formidable force that cannot be shaken. We look at these partnerships and we see the power of human connection, the way that 1 + 1 can equal so much more than 2. But, as the seasons change, so too does the landscape of ambition. Time moves forward, slow and relentless like a deep river. The saplings become mighty oaks, and as they grow, they begin to cast shadows. The roots that once supported each other begin to compete for the same patch of soil. The branches that once offered shelter begin to block out the sun. It is rarely a sudden event, this shifting of the dynamic. It is usually a slow drift, imperceptible at first, like a crack forming in the glaze of a ceramic vase. You might not see the crack for years. It sits there, silent and waiting. But the pressure builds. The weight of success, the gravity of money, the seductive whisper of ego. All of these forces press against the porcelain. And the trust, that delicate, invisible substance that holds the partnership together, begins to thin. Tonight, we will wander through the galleries of time to examine these cracks. We will look at the moments when the handshake loosened, when the shared gaze faltered, and when the unified path split into two diverging roads in a yellow wood. But we will do so without judgment and without the sharp edges of conflict. We will view these stories as inevitable tragedies of human nature, lessons in the complexity of the heart and the mind. Let us drift back, further back, to an era of soot and steam, of gas lamps flickering in the London fog, and the smell of ozone and copper in the laboratories of New York. Picture the late 19th century, a time when the world was being reinvented by the power of industry. It was a time of heavy velvet curtains, of polished mahogany desks, and of ledgers filled with handwritten script in black ink. The silence of these rooms was heavy, punctuated only by the ticking of a grandfather clock or the scratch of a fountain pen. In this era, the world was waiting for light. The nights were dark and long, and humanity had always been bound by the rising and setting of the sun. But there were men who believed they could capture the sun, who believed they could run lightning through wires and banish the darkness forever. To change the world so fundamentally requires a monumental ego and a vision so singular that it leaves little room for compromise. It is here that we find our first great divergence. Imagine the bustling streets of New York City in the 1880s. The cobblestones are slick with rain, reflecting the dim glow of street lamps. Horse-drawn carriages clatter by, their wheels rumbling a low rhythm against the stone. In a workshop, the air is warm and smells of oil and dust. Here, we find a man named Thomas. He is established, revered, a wizard of invention whose name is already whispered with awe. He is the architect of this new age, a man who believes in the tangible, the practical, the direct current that flows like water in one direction. He is a builder of empires, pragmatic and stubborn, rooted in the earth. And then, into this world walks a younger man, a dreamer from a distant land. His name is Nikola. He is thin, intense, with eyes that seem to see things that others cannot. He carries with him a vision of a different kind of power, an alternating current, a force that dances back and forth, capable of traveling vast distances, capable of lighting up not just a room, but the entire world. At first, there is a meeting of minds. The established wizard sees the brilliance in the young dreamer. There is a mutual respect, a recognition of shared genius. They work together in the humming workshops, surrounded by coils of copper wire and the strange, beautiful machinery of the future. Can you see them there? Heads bent over a blueprint, the smoke from a cigar drifting lazily toward the ceiling, the murmur of voices discussing the physics of the impossible. It feels like the beginning of a golden age. If these two minds could remain aligned, what wonders might they create? The practical genius of the one, combined with the visionary soaring of the other. It would be a partnership to rival the gods. But the seeds of betrayal are often sown in the very soil of collaboration. The difference in their visions was not just technical, it was philosophical. One wanted to sell the light, to meter it, to control it. The other wanted to liberate it, to see it flow freely like the air we breathe. Imagine the quiet tension growing in that workshop. It is not a shouting match, not yet. It is a silence that lengthens when one enters the room. It is a hesitation before speaking. It is the feeling of being misunderstood, of having your brilliance dismissed as mere fancy, or your practicality dismissed as greed. The young dreamer works tirelessly, solving problems that the wizard could not, believing in a promise, a verbal agreement, a bond of honor. He labors through the night, the only sound the hum of the dynamo and his own shallow breathing. He believes that his dedication will be rewarded, that his genius will be recognized and compensated. He trusts. And therein lies the tragedy. Trust is a currency that depreciates rapidly when self-interest enters the market. When the moment of truth arrives, it is not with a bang, but with a cold, dismissive laugh. A promise is broken. A handshake is forgotten. The wizard tells the dreamer that he does not understand the humor of the new world, that the promise was merely a joke. Can you feel the temperature in the room drop? The stillness that follows such a statement? It is the sound of a thread snapping. The tapestry unravels. The young dreamer takes his hat, his coat, and walks out into the cool night air of New York. He is alone again. The partnership is dissolved, leaving behind a bitterness that will fuel a rivalry for decades to come. But as you listen, let the anger of that moment fade. Let it drift away like smoke. Focus instead on the quiet aftermath, the solitude of the inventor, the resilience of the human spirit that, even after betrayal, seeks to create again. The city sleeps around them. The lights, some yellow and dim, others bright and harsh, continue to burn. The current flows, regardless of who controls it. The world keeps turning, indifferent to the quarrels of men. As we leave the gaslit streets of the 19th century, we float forward in time, carried by the river of history. The scenery changes, but the story remains the same. The mahogany desks are replaced by sleek glass tables. The handwritten ledgers become lines of glowing code on a screen. The heavy wool suits become casual hoodies and denim. But the hearts beating beneath them, the ambitions, the fears, the capacity for trust and for treachery, these remain eternal. Let your mind drift now, away from the noise of the industrial age and into a space of pure potential. Imagine a dormitory room, cluttered with empty coffee cups and textbooks, illuminated only by the blue light of a laptop screen. It is quiet here, the hush of deep concentration. Outside the window, snow is falling softly on a university campus, muffling the sounds of the world. Inside, a new partnership is forming, not with gears and pulleys, but with algorithms and networks. Here, in the digital silence, two friends are weaving a web that will eventually capture the attention of the entire planet. They are young, brilliant, and naive. They share a slice of pizza. They share a joke. They share a dream of connecting people. At this moment, they are brothers in arms. There is no hierarchy, only the shared excitement of creation. They are building a digital house, brick by virtual brick. But as the house grows, as the walls expand and the roof rises, the question of ownership begins to whisper in the corners. Who owns the foundation? Who owns the view? Betrayal in the modern age is quiet. It happens in the fine print of a contract, in the dilution of shares, in the exclusion from an email chain. It is a betrayal of omission, of slowly pushing someone out of the frame until they are no longer part of the picture they helped to paint. Reflect on the silence of that realization. The moment you understand that the person sitting across from you, the person you laughed with, the person you trusted with your ideas, has been planning your exit while you were planning the future. It is a heavy feeling, like sinking into deep water. But here, in this safe space of relaxation, we can observe it without feeling the chill. We can see it simply as the shifting of tides, the inevitable erosion of the coastline. Breathe into that space, the space between what was and what is. As we prepare to delve deeper into these stories in the chapters to come, let yourself rest in the knowledge that all things change. Partnerships rise and fall like waves on the ocean. Some crash with a roar, others simply recede into the sand. But the ocean remains. The vast, deep, calm ocean of history holds it all. Allow your breath to slow down even more now, mirroring the slow turning of the pages of time. In and out. The past is a story, a fable told in the dark, and you are merely the listener, safe, warm, and drifting toward a deeper peace, waiting to see where the current will take us next. The current pulls us gently toward the cobblestone streets of a small town in Germany, back in the early 20th century. Here, the air smells of rain and tanned leather, and the rhythm of life is set by the steady flow of the Orach River. It is a quiet place, the kind of place where history seems to move at the speed of a leisurely walk. In this town, Herzogenaurach, there lived two brothers, Adolf and Rudolf. They were the Dassler brothers, and in the washroom of their mother's house, amidst the scent of soap and steam, they began to weave a dream together. It was a simple dream, born of the work of their hands. They wanted to create the perfect athletic shoe. Can you imagine the sound of that small room? The rhythmic tapping of hammers, the soft scuff of leather against wood, the low murmur of brothers discussing the arch of a foot, the grip of a soul. For years, they were a single entity, a harmonious force. Adolf, known as Addy, was the craftsman, the quiet introvert who understood the materials with his fingertips. Rudolf was the voice, the extrovert who could sell their vision to the world. Like the left foot and the right foot, they were different, yet necessary to move forward. They found success watching their creations run on the feet of Olympians, feeling the surge of pride that comes when a shared vision becomes reality. But time, as we know, has a way of weathering even the strongest stone. The pressures of the world began to seep into the washroom where they once worked in unison. The shadow of war, the strain of politics, the friction of two families living under one roof, it all began to accumulate like silt on a riverbed. The betrayal here was not a single, sharp event, but a slow erosion. A series of whispers, misunderstandings, and quiet resentments that hardened over the years. It is said that during an air raid, a few words spoken in fear were misinterpreted as an insult, a tragic misalignment of meaning that festered in the silence that followed. And so, the partnership that had conquered the world of sport began to crack. The river that ran through their town, the Aurach, became more than just water. It became a border, a line drawn in the earth. The brothers split, and the town split with them. On one side of the river rose the factory of Adidas, Addy's kingdom. On the other side, the factory of Puma, Rudolf's domain. Breathe in the stillness of that divided town. Picture the mist rising off the river in the early morning, obscuring the bridges that once connected them. For decades, The silence between the brothers was heavier than any words could be. The townspeople, loyal to one side or the other, would walk with their heads down, checking the shoes of strangers before deciding whether to speak. They called it the town of bent necks. It is a melancholy image, is it not? Two brothers, separated by a narrow strip of water, dying within the same small town, yet worlds apart. And yet, in this story, there is a lesson for us as we rest. We see how fragile the tether of trust can be, and how important it is to nurture understanding before the silence becomes too wide to cross. The river flows on, indifferent to the feud, washing away the footprints of the past, leaving only the quiet lesson in its wake. Let us drift now, away from the damp cobblestones of Germany, and float across the Atlantic toward the sprawling, energetic landscape of America in the late 19th century. The air here hums with a different kind of energy. It is the age of invention, of steam and sparks, and the banishing of the night. We find ourselves in a laboratory cluttered with wires, glass bulbs, and the smell of ozone. Here, two giants of history briefly stood side by side. Thomas Edison, the established wizard of Menlo Park, and Nikola Tesla, the brilliant immigrant with a mind that saw the world in flashes of lightning. Imagine the contrast, like the difference between a sturdy oak tree and a bolt of electricity. Edison was practical, grounded, a man of trial and error who believed in the sweat of the brow. Tesla was ethereal, a visionary who built machines in his mind with perfect precision before ever touching a tool. When Tesla arrived, he was an admirer, seeking the guidance of the master. He worked tirelessly, fixing the inefficiencies of Edison's direct current motors, laboring through the night while the city slept outside. He believed in the promise of a reward, a substantial sum that Edison had jokingly offered for the completion of the task. To Tesla, a man of honor and idealism, a promise was a binding contract of the soul. He poured his genius into the work, solving the puzzles that had stumped others, driven by the belief that he was building a future alongside a mentor. But when the work was done, and the solution delivered, the betrayal arrived not with a shout, but with a dismissive laugh. Edison, pragmatic and business-minded, told the young visionary that he did not understand American humor. The bonus was a myth. The promise was smoke. Feel the weight of that moment in the quiet laboratory. The hum of the machines suddenly sounding hollow. The disappointment settling in the chest like a cold stone. It was a clash of frequencies, two minds vibrating on different wavelengths. Tesla walked out, leaving the wizard's workshop behind, stepping into the uncertainty of the world with nothing but his integrity and his ideas. It led to the War of Currents, a battle for the very nervous system of our civilization. But tonight, we do not focus on the war. We focus on the quiet dignity of the departure. Sometimes, the healthiest thing we can do is walk away from a table where respect is no longer served. Tesla's path was difficult, filled with solitude and struggle, but he remained true to his own internal compass. He illuminated the world, not for the fortune, but for the light itself. As you lie here, safe and warm, let the image of those early electric lights soothe you. The soft, amber glow of the filament, pushing back the shadows. It is a reminder that even when partnerships dim, the light within us can continue to shine. Ideas cannot be extinguished by betrayal, only delayed. The current of creativity finds a new path, just as water finds its way to the sea. Now, the scene shifts again, dissolving like a dream into a new shape. We move forward in time, to the sun-drenched highways of California in the 1950s. The air is warm and dry, smelling of dust and heated asphalt. We are standing under the shade of a golden arch, a symbol that would one day be known in every corner of the globe. Here, we meet the McDonald brothers, Dick and Mac. They were simple men, efficient, focused on quality. They had created a symphony of speed in their kitchen, a ballet of burgers and fries that delighted families. They were content with their creation, happy with the small, perfect world they had built. Enter Ray Kroc, a man of a different cloth, a salesman with a vision that stretched beyond the horizon. He saw not just a restaurant, but an empire, a church of commerce where the golden arches would rise in every town, mirroring the steeples of the past. At first, it was a partnership of mutual benefit. The brothers had the method, Kroc had the motor. They danced the delicate dance of expansion. But ambition is a hungry thing. It is a fire that consumes the air around it. Kroc wanted to move faster, fly higher. The brothers wanted to stay grounded, protecting the purity of their name. The betrayal here was legal, bureaucratic, a shifting of paper and power. It culminated in a handshake deal that dissolved into the desert air. When Kroc bought them out, he took the name, the system, the very identity they had forged. And in a final, quiet act of dominance, he opened a new location right across the street from the brothers' original store, forcing them to take down their own sign. It feels heavy, doesn't it? To see the creators pushed aside by the creation, to see the name stripped from the door. But let us look at this through the lens of history, from our high vantage point of relaxation. The brothers, Dick and Mac, returned to a quieter life. They stepped out of the glare of the empire and back into the simple rhythm of their days. They lost the business, yes, but they kept their peace. They did not spend their lives chasing the horizon. They knew when enough was enough. Sometimes, the end of a partnership is simply the universe correcting the balance. Some are meant to build empires, and others are meant to tend to the garden. There is a deep rest in accepting which role is yours. The desert wind blows softly across the scene, carrying away the dust of ambition, leaving only the silence of the vast, open landscape. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and deep indigo. The neon lights flicker on, one by one, distant stars in the velvet night. You are drifting further now, deeper into the sanctuary of your own mind. These stories are merely clouds passing across the moon, momentary shapes that dissolve as you watch them. The Dassler brothers, Edison and Tesla, the McDonalds and Kroc, they are all part of the great tapestry, threads woven together and then pulled apart by the loom of time. Feel your breathing sync with the slow, steady rotation of the earth. There is no betrayal here, in this moment. There is only you, and the infinite potential of your own rest. The past is a closed book, sitting on a shelf in a library that is dark and quiet. You do not need to read it tonight. You only need to rest your head on the desk and close your eyes. As we prepare to turn the final page of our journey, allow your body to become heavy. Let the tension in your shoulders melt like wax near a flame. The stories of commerce and conflict are far away, muffled by the thick walls of sleep. You are safe. You are whole. You are drifting toward the final chapter, where the waters are calmest, and the silence is a gift. And in that silence, we find the true resolution to every story, a place where the noise of negotiation and the clamor of ambition simply fade away. The dust has settled in the boardrooms of the past, leaving only the quiet hum of history. We move now beyond the specific names and the specific dates, drifting away from the factories and the laboratories, away from the burger stands and the shoe workshops. We float upward, like a feather caught on a gentle evening breeze, rising above the timeline of human striving. Consider for a moment the nature of two paths diverging. In the world of commerce, we call it a breach or a betrayal. But here, in the soft light of your own relaxation, we can see it differently. Imagine a great river, wide and powerful, flowing through a valley of ancient stone. For miles, the water moves as one, a singular force of nature, united in its purpose. But eventually, the river meets a mountain, a vast, immovable object in its path. The water does not fight the mountain. It does not argue, nor does it feel the sting of rejection. It simply separates. One stream flows to the left, into the deep, shaded forests. The other flows to the right, out toward the sunlit plains. They were once one, and now they are two. It is the natural order of things, the inevitable geometry of flow. The Dasslers, the inventors, the tycoons, they were merely rivers meeting their mountains. And though the separation seemed violent in the moment, like water crashing against rock, eventually the waters smoothed out. They found their new rhythm. They found their own way to the sea. And just as those rivers eventually found peace in the great ocean, so too can you release any sense of division or conflict that you may be carrying. Let it flow away from you now. Imagine any tension in your life as a leaf falling onto that river surface. Watch it spin slowly in the current, drifting further and further downstream, until it disappears around the bend, leaving you sitting on the grassy bank, untouched, unmoved, perfectly still. The air around you is cooling now, settling into the comfortable temperature of deep night. The library of history, where we kept those stories of betrayal, is closing its doors. You can hear the heavy oak doors swinging shut with a soft, reassuring thud. The latch clicks into place. The lights in the windows dim, one by one, until the building is dark. The stories are sleeping. The conflicts are resolved by the erasure of time. You are standing outside, under a canopy of velvet stars, breathing in the fresh, clean air of the present moment. There is a profound peace in realizing that you do not need to build an empire tonight. You do not need to protect an idea, or sign a contract, or convince anyone of your worth. That work is for the day, and the day is done. In this kingdom of sleep, you are already the sovereign. You possess everything you need simply by existing. The rise and fall of your chest is the only industry that matters now. The steady beat of your heart is the only clock you need to watch. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the mattress, as if gravity has become a warm blanket, tucking you in. Your legs are heavy, two stone pillars resting in the sand. Your hips are loose, releasing the tightness of sitting, releasing the urge to move. Your spine uncoils, lengthening, softening, like a rope that has been untied. Your hands, which do so much work, which hold and carry and type and grasp, lie open and empty. There is nothing left to hold on to. Let your fingers curl naturally, soft and useless in the best possible way. The silence of the room grows richer. It is not an empty silence, but a thick, comforting presence. It wraps around you like a cocoon. Think of the great partnerships we spoke of, and realize that eventually, even the loudest arguments end in silence. The factories close for the night. The lights go out in the office towers. The lawyers go home, and the world returns to the crickets and the wind and the moon. You are part of that timeless world now. You are drifting past the shoreline of wakefulness, pushing off into the vast, dark waters of the unconscious. The water is warm, and it supports you completely. You do not need to swim. The current of sleep knows exactly where to take you. It carries you away from the shore of me and you, away from yours and mine, away from profit and loss. It carries you toward the center of the lake, where the water is glass, reflecting the infinite cosmos above. Your breathing slows down even more, matching the slow, tectonic rhythm of the earth itself. In, gathering the peace of the night. Out, releasing the dust of the past. In, inviting the stillness. Out, letting go of the story. There are no more chapters to read. The book is finished. The cover is closed. The ink is dry. What remains is the feeling of completion, a sense of wholeness. You are not half of a partnership waiting to be betrayed. You are a complete universe unto yourself. Entire galaxies swirl within your mind, slowly turning, quiet and majestic. Allow your attention to drift to the space behind your eyes, a dark, warm, velvet space. If thoughts come, like echoes of old business, let them be distant murmurs, muffled by thick walls. They do not concern you. You are safe in the inner sanctum. You are protected by the fortress of rest. Going deeper now, the numbers, the names, the dates, they are all dissolving like sugar in warm water. Gone. There is only the sensation of softness. The pillow beneath your head is a cloud. The duvet is a shield against the world. Every muscle in your face relaxes. The jaw unhinges slightly. The tongue rests on the floor of the mouth. The tiny muscles around the eyes smooth out, erasing the frowns of concentration. The forehead is a smooth, cool lake. Drifting, drifting, drifting. The history of the world is a history of things coming together and falling apart. But sleep is the constant. It is the bridge that connects us all. It is the sanctuary that never betrays us. It is always there, waiting with open arms, asking for nothing in return but your surrender. So surrender now. Give up the weight. Give up the narrative. Let the boat of your consciousness drift into the fog. The shore is gone. The destination is here. Sleep is a trust that is never broken. It is a partner that always remains. Deep, heavy, warm, still. Resting in the knowledge that everything is exactly as it should be. The past is a dream that has ended. The future is a dream that has not yet begun. And you are here, in the beautiful, silent, empty space between. Floating, sinking, sleeping. Good night.